Alright, hello, good morning, and welcome to Daf Yomi.
אשריכם, 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 תלמידי חכמים. אשריכם, 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 תלמידי חכמים. שדברי תורה חביבין עליכם ביוסף. דברי תורה חביבין.
אני רוצה להגיד משהו.
תורת השם תמימה, תורת השם תמימה, תורת השם תמימה, משיבת לאפס.
I have to tell you something.
The best year in the world.
Listen, אני הסתכלתי ביוטיוב, I watched YouTube last night. יש וידאו, סרט, שמדבר על 11 שיעורים על דף יומי. 11, אי אפשר לבחור, how do you choose which one is the best one?
Okay.
היה 11 שיעורים. וגם אחד שהרבה לא, people don't know about, וזה up and coming, זה אחד, ולא דיברו עליי! לא דיברו על השיר שלו.
לא בסדר, לא בסדר. אתה תחליט איזה שיעור הכי טוב. זה השיעור הכי טוב בעולם.
הכי טוב בעולם.
The best all over the world.
Why is it the best?
בגלל שיש פה את הרב שהוא תלמיד חוכם עצום וגודל בתוירה.
וגם יש לו sense of humor, funny.
בטח.
funny, entertaining.
ריקודים, שמחה.
וגם חידושי תורה.
חידושי תורה כל יום, קושיות, ופשט אמיתי, אתם לא מבינים.
What other shir has dancing?
In short, guys,
25
minutes a shiur.
25 minutes that we drink l'chaim balls a lot of times.
Crazy.
We do different things all the time. We have the best chevra over here. You're not going to get any better than this. This is the best shir ever. Ever.
He brings it up every day.
2022. What?
And he brings it up every day.
Every day I
It's
do
not
the
the top
daf.
of yesterday.
Yes.
It's the same day.
The same day. Do it on the same day. Come kochavim.
Guys, don't watch it. Don't watch it.
Million kochavim.
Don't watch it in YouTube. Come to Bnei Yeshivas.
Come to Bnei Yeshiva. If you can't come to Bnei Yeshivas, I want to see 1,000 likes, 1,000 comments, and 10,000 subscribers by tomorrow. All right. All right. See, that was good. My friends always help me out over here during this year. You know, I have a lot of friends over here. They're my biggest backers. Good job, guys. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you. There you go. But they're telling the truth, right? Hakol zeh emet, right? Masha Marta? It's all true. It's all true. We don't lie over here. This is Bnei Yeshivos. Zeh shul amiti, ken? Raka emet po. All right. Going to start now. Daf Chav Ches, number 28. Huge beginning to today's year. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. The last line of Chav Chedem Beis. Shal Talmidav Esrei Preda. They Esrei Preda Merach the Yomim. How did you lengthen your days? How did you live a long life? Amar Lahem Miyamai Lokid Mani Adam LeBeis Medrash. No one ever came earlier than me to the base Medrash. The top of Chedem and Aleph. V'lo Beirachti Lefanai Kohen. I made sure that I always said Birkas Hamazon. He was a Talmid Chacham. That Kohen never led the Zimun in front of him. I didn't eat from behema, an animal that you're supposed to take off to give to a Kohen when you shecht an animal. You're supposed to give the zroa, l'chaim, the keba, the foreleg, the femur, the thigh, the chest of the animal, the chazeh, and the l'chaim, and the jaw. The tongue, I guess, the meat to a Kohen. You have to give it to a Kohen. If you didn't give it yet, you're not supposed to eat the meat. It's like you ate tevel. It's like you eat tevel when you have produce from a field. If you don't take off Trumas and Maisho, it has din of tevel. You can't eat it. The Gemara says the halacha really is not like him. Really, technically, you're allowed to eat from behema even before the Trumas and Maisho, before the Zroa l'chaim cable was taken off. So the Gemara says, "V'lo berachti l'fnei Kohen, l'fanei Kohen, l'meimer d'mal yusahi." Is it a good thing? Rabbi Yochanan called. I'm sorry. Go back for a second. Lifnei Kohen, he said that he let a Kohen lead a Zeman in front of him. He never let a Zeman ahead of a Kohen. So the Gemara says, "L'meimer de mal yusi." Is this really a good thing? Rabbi Yochanan called him a Kohen Gadol. I'm a Aret. If you're a Talmid Chacham and even if there's a Kohen Gadol, if he's an Amaretz, so the Talmid Chacham is supposed to lead the benching over him. Shenemar kol mistanai avu maves. Anyone who hates me, who hates Hashem, loves death. Al tefrikim mistanai ela masni. It doesn't mean someone who hates Hashem, someone who causes the other to hate Hashem. When the Talmid Chacham doesn't accord himself the right honor, so he causes other people to hate Hashem, the Talmid Chacham is viewed as the paradigm of someone who honors Hashem. And if he doesn't take honor for himself, so he's degrading Hashem. So the Gemara says, Kikamar iu b'shavin. He was talking about, I think it was Preda was talking about when he's equal, and they're both of them are Talmidei Chacham, and the Kohen Gadol is a Talmid Chacham, or the Kohen is a Talmid Chacham, he's also a Talmid Chacham. He would allow the Kohen to bench before him. He would never bench in front of a Kohen. Amar Rabbi Yechuna ben Akana. Rabbi Yechuna said, B'mei harach yomim. How did you, his Talmidim asked him, how did you elongate your life? I never took honor in the embarrassment of my friend. Whenever I went to sleep, I forgave my friends. I was generous with my money. So I'm going to explain all these three things. Like Rav Huna, Dari Mara Akasfe. Rav Huna was carrying a spade on his shoulder. I guess he was involved in planting. He had a garden. He had a hoe. And he had a spade. And he had a pickaxe and a mattock. You know the difference between a pickaxe and a mattock? You know what a mattock is? Is a mattock related to Greg Maddox? Greg Maddox was who? Who was Greg Maddox? If you don't know who Greg Maddox is, you're obviously a very young guy. Or you don't know anything about baseball. One of the best pitchers of all time, pitched for the Braves. And what is the logo of the Braves? It's a mattock. But you didn't know that. All right, it's also the thing they used that was in the Shawshank Redemption. He hid in the Bible, Andy Dufresne, in order to free himself from prison and escape from prison. He carved it out in the Bible. I believe it was a mattock, not a pickaxe. All right, so the Gemara says he was holding a spade on his shoulder. Asa Rav Chana Bar Chanilai. Bar Chanilai was from a neighboring town. Kadari Mamine. He was lower than Rav Huna. He wasn't of high stature. He wanted to hold his package, his spade, so Rav Huna wouldn't have to carry it. Amalei Ira Gilta Dari Pamaseh. If this is something you normally would hold, you would carry in your own place. Dari below he said, I don't want to be degrading you. I don't want to be elevating myself by degrading you. What does that mean? He had the Marzutra, like Marzutra Kavasal Kapuri, went up to his bed to go to sleep. He forgave anyone who caused him pain. Vasran b'mamoni hayisi damar mar Eov vasran b'mamoni have. Eov was especially generous with his money. Shayamaniach pruta lechanvani b'mamoni. He would leave a tip. He was a big tipper. You know, you go up to a restaurant, tip everybody, tip them 20%. Like the Gemara says in Ksuvos that mavazis al yavazis yosser menachomesh. What does that mean exactly? So most people say it means stucco, but I say it means giving a tip. You want to give a tip? That's why it says Meiser in Eretz Yisrael in Israel. I think in America the standard tip is half the sales tax, or it's about 8.5% of the bill. But in Israel it's 10%. It's just Meiser. So you shouldn't give more than Esrim, 20%. Between 10 and 20%, 20% tipper. Eov tip 20%. When he gave onto the store, he would leave an extra pruta there. Rabbi Kiva asked Rabbi Chanina Nechunya Hagadol. Rabbi Kiva asked Rabbi Chanina Hagadol, how did you lengthen your days? Also, Gavzi v'kamachule. They thought his shamashim, the people that were attending to Rabbi Nechunya got angry. They thought he was begrudging him his life. Like the article says, he didn't want him to live so long. They were trying to hit him. Salik Yasef Aresha, the Dikla Akiva, climbed up. He was known to climb up trees, Rabbi Akiva. He climbed up mountains. He actually climbed up Mount Everest, Rabbi Akiva, and I'm joking. My people told me you can never make fun of a rabbi. You can never joke about a rabbi. Why can't you joke about a rabbi? What's wrong with climbing Mount Everest? Is it degrading for a rabbi to climb Mount Everest? I mean, if he likes to climb, let him climb. Why can't a rabbi climb Mount Everest? All right. Yasef Reisha the Dikla, he sat on top of the Shemale Rebbe. Im Nemar Keves, it says in the Torah Keves for a korban. Lama Nemar Echa. Why I say one? Keves is a singular lashon. We know it means one. Amar Luhu Surma Rabbananu. So once he asked this question, Rabbi Nechunya figured out he was a Talmud Chacham. Shavkuhu. He said, Amar Luhu Surma Rabbananu Shavkuhu. Leave him alone. Amar Le'echad. To answer him first. Miyuchad Shebe'edro. It doesn't mean one. It means the most special one in the flock that you should offer as a korban. Amar Le. So then he answered him why he had lived a long life. Miyamai lo kibalti matanos. I never accepted gifts. I never was insistent to have it my way. Vasran Amoni Hayisa, like we said before, he was very generous with his money. Loki Baltimore Tanos, where do we see an example of that? Kihad Rebelezer. Rebelezer also Kiabashad Rele Matanos of Beinasia. Rebelezer lived, he was an Amora. He lived after the Korban in Eretz Israel. They had the Nasi's house, the government, the Romans let the Jews run their own government, and it was passed down to the house of Rebbe. There was always a Nasi, a president of the Jews. I guess I had to talk to the Roman government, cooperate with the Roman government. I never took presents they sent me from the house of the Nasi, Lava Shakil, Lava Azir. When they invited him to a meal, a banquet, he wouldn't go. He said, you don't want me to live? It says in Mishlei, the person who hates gifts, he'll live. He'll live only if he hates gifts. When they sent him gifts from the house of the Nasi, lo hava shakal, he wouldn't take. When he would be invited to a meal, Azil, he would go. A party, he would go. He said, I'm not taking from them. They're getting honor from my being there. I wasn't insistent to have it my way. Anyone who doesn't insist on getting his way, Hashem overlooks his sins. Gemara Darshans, to who does Hashem look over their sins? A person who doesn't stand on his ways, someone who forgives other people. He forgives other people, so Hashem overlooks his sins. Rebbe asked Yishom and Karka, he said, how do you live such a long life? He says, what, you don't want me to live so long? You want me to live shorter? Amarlo, Rebbe Torah, I'm not asking you because I want you to live shorter. I just want to know for how to emulate you to live a long life. He said, I never stared at the face of a Rasha. Rasha not supposed to gaze at the face of a Rasha. One of the Nevi'im says, Yehoshaphat joined forces with the son of Achav to fight Moab. So he was with Yehoshaphat. Yehoshaphat was a tzaddik, but the king, the son of Achar, was a Rasha. So the Navi says, if it wasn't the fact that Yehoshaphat was here, I wouldn't look at either of you. But since Yehoshaphat is here, so I never have to look at you. Relezer Omer ain't of chaos. If you look at a Rasha, your eyes become blind. So when Yitzchak became older, his eyes became blinded. Meros from seeing Mishum the Staka based on Rasha, because he used to gaze at Rasha, especially after I gave him the brachos. I gave him what was left of the brachos. Hagar, the Gemara says, is this what caused Yitzchak to become blind? Like we learned earlier, where did we learn this Gemara? We learned this Gemara in El Tedvav on Daf 15. Klala, the curse of a simple person, should not be light in your eyes. Sorry, Avimelech cursed Sarah. This kind of bizarre, it actually came to fruition in her descendants. He gave her money after staring at her After she was taken to his house, he wasn't together with her, but he stared at her as soon as she was naked. Sus ela ksias einayim. He didn't mean it to be a ksus, clothing. It means a ksias einayim, covering the eyes to become blind. So the Gemara says hava ha garmale. So really, both of them caused Yitzchak to become blind. Rava Amar Mahacha. Rava says from here you shouldn't look at a blind person. Seis pnei rasha lo tov. Looking at the face of a rasha is not good. B'shas Rasa when he was dying, Amalei Rebbe Baracheni. Rebbe said to Shulchan Karka, bless me. Amalei Yiraton Shagia Lechati Yamai. He said you should live half my life. Why shouldn't you bless me? I should live your whole life. Amar lo. He was a Nasi Rebbe, so if he lived such a long life, then his children would just be relegated to the farmers or the shepherds. So he should die earlier so that other people should get Kedula also, his children. One of them said, I should get reward because I never looked at the face of a Kusi. Kusi is a type of Jew that doesn't do the right things. The other one said, I should get reward because I never opened a business venture with a Kusi. Had you live a long life? Basically, I never got angry in my house. I didn't step in front of someone who was greater than me. I didn't think about dirty Torah, dirty places. He was makbid always to wear his tefillin around and to always be learning Torah. I didn't even sleep in the base medrash, even temporary sleep. I was never happy when my friend fell down. One of these means his nickname, one of them means his surname, his last name. It's funny here in Eretz Yisrael, sometimes you ask people what their name is, they tell you, everybody's like a radio world, they're like Goldberg or Goldstein. I'm like, I didn't ask you for your last name, I asked you for your first. What's your name? When I ask someone their name, I don't want their last name. This is not a business interview over here. I want to know their first name. All right. The Mishnah says, "V'od Amar Rabbi Yehuda." Rabbi Yehuda adds on, "Beis Hakneses shecharav ein maspidim mesochu." Even the Beis Hakneses is rise desolate. It's not being used anymore. You can't make a hesped in there. You can't make a eulogy in there. We're going to see only a eulogy for a public eulogy. A large eulogy you can make in a shul. If there's not a lot of people, you can't make it. Even though it's desolate, you can't spread ropes there. In portion of the sochel, mitzudas, you can't put traps there to catch animals. In shoskan al gago, peiros, in desolate shul, you can't lie fruit on this roof to dry out. You can't make it a shortcut. You can't take a shortcut through the shul. Shnemar b'ashimosi es mikdashechem. It says in the Kolos, I will lay desolate your mikdash. Kedushasan af k'shehein shomim. The Gemara darshans that even when they're desolate, they're still called mikdashim. Shaimotzi as mikdashechem. They're still called a mikdash. Still have kedusha even when they're desolate. Aluba asavim, when it's desolate and grass grows, lo yitlosh ne'agas nevesh. You shouldn't mow the lawn. You shouldn't take out the grass because people will see the grass growing. It looks like a forest, So people will feel bad and maybe try to rebuild the shul. Tana Rabbanan, Abad Knesios, Eino Hagen Mehen Kalas Rosh. You can't have levity in a shul. And Ochan Mehen, you're not supposed to eat in the shul. And Shosim Mehen, and you don't drink in the shul. The Ein Neosim Mehen, and you're not supposed to make yourself look nice in them. Brush your hair, put on cologne. You're not supposed to stroll around in them. If it's hot outside or it's raining outside, you shouldn't go in for shade or to prevent yourself from getting wet. That's a zilzal to the degradation of the shul. Hesped of a single person, not an important person, you shouldn't do in there. You could learn Torah Shebachtav. You could learn Torah Shebachtav. A public hesped, a big hesped, you could. Amar Yehuda Imasai be Yeshuva. And Yehuda says it's only talking about when the shuls are being used. When the shuls are not being used, Manichan Asan, we leave them. Let grass grow. Lo yitlosh ne'agan sevesh, and you shouldn't uproot it so that people just feel bad. Asavim mandachar shemayu. Rabbi Yehuda just starts bringing up grass. The Tanakh didn't talk about grass. Whereas the Chasoni Mechsor V'Hachi Yasani we're missing a part. Really, this is what the Tanakh got me to say. Also, he wanted to add in, and you sweep a shul, a regular shul, but to sweep it, or a beatzin also, and you're supposed to put water down. You're supposed to squeegee or sponge in Israel. In order that grass shouldn't grow. Amar Yehuda, Emasai. When is that true? Be Yeshuvan, when the shuls are being used. When they lay desolate, you allow the grass to grow. If the grass grew, you shouldn't uproot him. That people should feel bad and should come to rebuild the shul. Even though we said before that you can't eat and drink and do whole dick of things which are not of kedusha in a shul, in Bavel they made it al tanai. When you make a shul, it's assumed, or you have to make it tanai, or it's assumed that you made a stipulation that you can use it for whatever you want. Even if you made it tanai in Bavel, ain't no gemen kalas rosh. You shouldn't have real levity to do the financial calculations of whatever your business in there. That you use for mathematical calculations to do your business in Malina Moas Ames. You're gonna let a person is gonna lay a dead person is gonna be held overnight there. So the Gemara says, Malina Saka Daita, Klosagi Lavhaki. That's the requirement. The requirement is that if you do business transactions in a shul, then you have to let a dead person lie there. So the Gemara says, no, it's a curse that if you do this, at the end of the day, one day a mace mitzvah is going to end up in your shul. Dead people are going to die in the shul, and you're going to have to bury them. And their students are allowed to, they're allowed to put on cologne, they're allowed to decorate themselves, put on body lotion and hand cream. Why is it called Be'er, the house of Rabbanan? It's really the house of the Rabbanan. It belongs to Rabbanan. They spend most of the days learning Torah there, so therefore they're allowed to do even things that are chol, even Eretz Yisrael, or even when there's no Tanai. We had the Ravina, story of Ravina, Rav Ada bar Masna. They were standing outside a shul and they asked a shaila from Rava, halachic shaila. Zilcha the Mitra, suddenly a storm of rain came. They immediately went into the shul. So Rava said to them, why are we going to the shul? I didn't go in to protect myself from the rain. That in order to properly learn Torah, to properly understand Torah, you need clearness, clarity, like a day of a northern wind, when there's a day of northern wind blowing, so therefore there is clarity of thought. A person wants to call someone from a shul, what can he do? Because you're not supposed to go into a shul for no reason. It's a zilz of the Beis HaKnesses. So if he's a rabbinical scholar, he say halacha, he just learns Mishnah, let him say a Mishnah. He just knows Tanakh, let him say a pasuk. He doesn't know anything. He should say to a child in the shul, tell me your pasuk that you're learning. Alternatively, he should wait a little bit and then get up and then call a friend. So he's making use of the shul. He's sitting in the shul, so therefore it's not a zilzal to the shul. Must be the man hesped shall rob him. You're allowed to have a public eulogy there. Hechidami hesped to the rabbin. What's considered a public eulogy? Machir Rav Chisda pointed going to spade to the kaiber of Sheish. Rav Sheish is present, is giving one of the eulogies. That's considered to be a public eulogy. Machir Rav Sheish is going to spade to the kaiber of Chisda. Rav Sheish says it's like a eulogy where Rav Chisda is one of the eulogizers. Rafram aspede lakalte. Rafram gave a eulogy for his daughter-in-law. I guess his daughter-in-law died in the shul. Amar Mishim Yikra Didi Udemisa Asu Kulayama, because of the honor of me, and I guess his daughter-in-law is prestigious, everyone will come. Rav Zera gave a hesped for one of the rabbinical students in the shul. Amar Mishim Yikra Didi Mishim Yikra Didei. The Misa Asu Kulayama, because of my honor or because of the honor of the dead person who was a big Talmudic scholar, everyone will come. Rish Lakish Safdil who Surma Rabbanan the Shliach Ba'ar Israel. He gave a hesped of a certain rabbinical student that was present. He visited a lot of Eretz Yisrael a lot. he would teach halachos. 24 rows of talmidim would be there to learn halachos from him. Amar Vai Chasra Ara the Israel Gava Rabba. He would say, wow, the land of Israel lost a great man. There was another story of another rabbinical student who learned halachas and sifra and sifri, all the midrashim, Tosefta. This guy's a little loud. Tosefta v'shachiv. He died. Also, Amr the Rav Nachman. He said to Rav Nachman, "Listen to the Mar. He should go. The Rav Nachman should give a eulogy for him. Amr Yehechin Isbei Haisana Damali Sifri the Chaser. What should I say? He's a basket full of books that we lost. He just remembered the Svarim. You remember the Svarim. You could just say over Svarim verbatim. That is not considered a Maila. You have to actually analyze the Torah and learn on a deeper level. Tachazi Mabin Kifi Dar Israel Chasidi the Bavel. Come see the difference between Reish Lakish and Rav Nachman. Reish Lakish lived in Eretz Israel. He was considered to be one of the strong ones of Eretz Israel. They had strong personalities, but still, he was willing to eulogize someone in a positive light. And the Chassidim of Bavel, they were known for their piety. They still were unwilling to eulogize someone in a public light, in a private, in a positive way. Tanan Hassam, Dishtamish Betaga Chalaf. Someone who uses the crown of Torah, he should pass away. What does that mean? Rish Lakish says this is someone who uses for his mundane needs to serve him, someone who learned halachas. Kisra shel Torah. Taga means the crown of Torah. He uses the crown of Torah in order for his own benefit. A person should use the shamash, someone who learned 4 Siddharim of. There's only really 4 Siddharim that you can learn in the Gemara, right? Zroim and Taros really don't have Gemaras, they only have Nida and Brachos. But if you learn 4 of them, you should still use that person. It's better to use him than to use someone who taught 4 Siddharim of Gemara. Rish Lakish was going on the way. Mata Orka Demaya, a stream of water came. Asu Gavra Arkave Akasve. A certain man came and tried to carry him in the water on his shoulders to pass through the water. Come Amarle Karid. He said, You learn Tanakh? Amarle Karina. He said, yeah, Tanina. Arba Sidrei Mishnah. He said, yeah, I learned 4 Siddharim of Mishnah. Amarle Pasal Lacha Arba Pture. You carve for yourself 4 mountains. V'ta'an Bar Lakish Akadvek. And you're still servicing by putting Reish Lakish on your shoulders. Shadi Bar Lakish Amai should throw me in the water. Amarle Nichali Dashmila Mar. He said, no, it's something good for me. I want to serve Mar. I want to serve you. He said, if so, at least learn from me the following. Benos Yisrael, Heinechmiru, Asman, Shafiros, Tibas Dam Kichar, El Yoshlav, Kishiv, and Akim. They're Machmir, Benos Yisrael, even though normally a Dam Nida, you only have to, once you stop seeing it, you only have to wait till the night and then go to the mikvah at night. Still, they would wait 7 clean days like a Zava. Someone who learns halachos is ensured that he's a Bein Olam Haba. Shnemar Alichos Olam Lo. Altri Alichos Ela Halachos. Alichos means the walking is the way for him. Altri Alichos Ela Halachos. If he learns halachos, Olam Lo will have Olam Haba. There's a question that says, my Rebbe always asked, this guy is really annoying, he's speaking so loud, I'm not sure. Anyway, Halichos Lo, sorry for that. Halichos Lo, if you learn halachos, what's a Bein Olam Haba? Why is someone called a Bein Olam Haba? What does Bein Olam Haba mean? So I want to answer like this. This is the Chiddush for today. Even with Ben Sion, we'll do the Chiddush for today. That the Gemara, the Mishnah and Sanhedrin says, Kol Yisrael Yeshlam Chelek Olam Haba. Everyone has a Chelek Olam, has a portion of Olam Haba. Chelek also means, a portion means half, or Chelek is part of a whole, not the whole thing. Every person is destined to have a part in Olam Haba, meaning they'll be able to see what goes on in Olam Haba. But who's going to be Bein Olam Haba? Bein Olam Haba means you're amongst the people participating, not just watching, participating, whatever the hanos and the pleasures going on Olam Haba. That's Bein. Bein means the sun, also means Beis Yud Nun, amongst Olam Haba. If you learn halachos, then you're going to know the Torah. You don't just learn Gemara all day, you know the halachos. And I saw yesterday, my father-in-law printed off, had some notes in the back of one of his printed Divrei Torah from a girl in seminary, the notes of one of my sister-in-law's friends, I guess. from seminary, from like 10th grade, that Hilchos Basar B'Chalov over there, printed out. These girls in Beis Yaakov, they know Hilchos Basar B'Chalov, but boys do not learn these things. They do not know any halachos. They come, all the women know all the halachos better than the men. It's very sad. You gotta learn halachos. Learn them well. See you tomorrow. Bye.